Man, this shit is getting crazy. Never seems to amaze me. I think the devil's trying to play me. Oh, Lord.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Use Your Own Intelligence podcast. I am your host, Fritz, and I want to get straight into the point on this one in this week's episodes, man. Here we are into the new year, and yet nothing has changed as far as the expectations of men. I got to be honest with you guys. Donald Trump will soon be the president on January 20th, and yet we still have to wait out a pretty bad storm America is in economically. So please forgive me for not having complete faith in the man who has shown more commitment to capitalists and corporations than the American people. Now, I'm not expecting people to learn their lessons from history and past events on how presidents are well known for unfulfilled promises. So, this go round, I got to be honest, my pressure is more on the people of the United States, for us to do our just due and applying pressure to a government which claims America to be a democracy, a country for the people, ran by the people. All right. Now, I myself, I'm very aware this country we live in is very much so a republic, just as the other two major superpowers in the world, like Russia and China. It's just masses in this country aren't competent enough, just in my opinion, to know they're being misled and ran by a small group of people called a government, whose priority is to serve the interests of corporations in this country. All right. For example, if you're ever wondering why a president, like Donald Trump can come out his mouth and tell you he's planning on getting rid of the IRS or abolishing federal income taxes and replacing them with tariffs on imports, right? But yet he nominates a former Missouri congressman named Billy Long to lead the IRS. To me, let's be honest, you're just not bright enough to understand how game is being ran on. That's you, the American people. All right. See, this guy Long, has previously sponsored legislation that's aimed at dismantling the IRS, okay? And replacing income taxes with national sales tax, all right? That's what he sponsored in legislation, okay? And if you ask me, just in all honesty, why would you hire someone to lead the very institution most Americans are willing to get rid of, instead of coming into office and just doing away with it as a whole? I mean, just think about it. What's the point of, in all honesty, what's the point? And to me, it's not really something even to think too hard at. It's very simple, ladies and gentlemen. It's very simple to understand that Trump has very powerful entities he must serve before the interests of the American people, regardless of how much of you Trump supporters out there swear he's for the people. All right? He has very powerful entities that he must serve before you. All right? And you see, in this country, we the people, we're just not the priority. And the more you begin to realize that, the more prepared you'll be for the events that will soon come once Trump takes office. Trump, in so many words, is stating that it's basically the USA against the world at this point. He wants to sanction and bring tariffs to all nations a part of BRICS, or who plan to join BRICS, all right, which is currently a threat to the depreciating U.S. dollar, by the way, okay? And to me, this doesn't sound like a man willing to bring peace into the world, but yet he's ready for a full-on war, whether it be economically or physically. All right. America has never proven to sustain anything on its own without fear and force. That's just who we are. Trade has always benefited the success of this country. So when you threaten these countries with tariff, what do you think they will do in response as well? It's not even rocket science. Just what exactly do you think in response these people would also do as well? They're going to apply the same pressure as you, okay? America is going to have to find a common ground and play fair. This military-industrial complex and bullying has basically come to an end. Nuclear war is suicidal, ladies and gentlemen. The majority of these countries who we do trade with have gotten better deals from our rivals, both China and Russia. That is exactly what we're facing as Americans in this point. So for the first time in history, America is going to have to figure out how to play fair because bombing people isn't going to go well. All right, this go around. I could tell you right now. Bombing people is not going to go well. Not this go around. All right. So to me, at this point, let's talk about some solutions, right? We'll get into some solutions, all right? One of the brightest things Trump has mentioned was making America the crypto capital of the world, which I've said in previous episodes, okay? But committing to such a thing isn't going to be that easy, and I'll tell you why. To come out your mouth and state you want to bring tariffs to these nations that are threatening the power of the U.S. dollar, and in the same breath also stating, he wants to make America the crypto capital of the world sounds very much like a lot to accomplish in one term, all right, at one time. The amount of debt America is facing is mainly due to the fact that Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard back in 1944. One of the worst mistakes America, to me, has ever committed, okay? There's never been a bigger mistake America has ever done. It was the dumbest thing I could ever think about. And I guess when you have this military-industrial complex and you're so busy of doing everything by force, you pretty much understand why, something like that could be done. All right. It's the main reason we're in such debt now. And it's very much the reason that America is suffering to this day from, this military-industrial complex. All right. Being able to borrow an infinite amount of money, just an infinite amount of money with no responsibility on paying it back is just room for disaster. You're literally left with no choice but to pull your weapons out and buck on whoever you owe that money to. All right. It's basically a form of bullying our government is just way too familiar with. But as the saying goes, it's only so long before your bullshit catches up to you. All right. In America, let me be clear. As to now, that time definitely has come, without a doubt. Now, the reason why making America the crypto capital of the world is such a bright idea is because for the first time in history, the transfer of money, has become so transparent, it leaves a lesser chance of corruption in our monetary policies. Our government, for once, will not be able to just tell us how much money is being sent, to so-and-so. For the first time, thanks to the blockchain, everybody will see exactly how much is transferred and where it was transferred. For all you new people who are just now becoming familiar with crypto and the blockchain, this is what made it so popular with so many people backing and believing in the system. Despite the naysayers, including our own government, who at one point of time was totally against it, by the way. And I wonder why. I truly wonder why this government at one point will be against it, but now they're all for it, just out of the blue. But I'll let you figure that out on your own. I know you're smart enough, all right? But anyhow, it's still all talk. All this crypto making capital of the world, this, that, and the third. I'm one of those people who really have to see it before I believe. And also wise enough to invest in it just in case it goes into action, all right? I mean, after all, it doesn't take much to understand that crypto is definitely a valuable asset. I mean, if treated and used correctly, I believe this thing can really change our financial system. It really can. It can make it great. Okay. Needless to say, I would advise every human being to still keep your portfolio diverse and not to give up on the U.S. dollar, and certainly not gold. But if America as a whole were smarter than I think we are, we would have begun to put a lot more pressure on our public servants and presenting more transparency on what they do with our hardworking tax dollars. And that's one of the things that makes me so sick about the American people. It's just the lack of pressure we have with our public servants. All right. I cannot count on the American people to unite and pressure our public servants to do exactly as they should. And that's to serve the interests of the American people. But I can count on the American people to stay divided amongst ourselves as we continue to allow this government to manipulate us in being either Democrat or Republican instead of just plain damn American. It's sad. So with that being said, I'm not counting on the mass following to understand what I'm saying, because if majority of us knew better, we'll definitely do better. And the case shows that's not what's happening right now. Majority of us just don't know better. But instead, it's the same division that's allowing a small government to be able to get away with mismanagement of tax dollars and dragging us into wars we rather not be in. So I'm only interested in my life and like-minded people who get it, and surround myself with just such, and staying away from these weak, sheeple-minded individuals. All right, and I encourage you out there, okay, in America, to do the same for those who really get it. All right, and to be honest with you guys, it hurts me to say the people who are going to suffer the most from this sheeple mentality are the ones from African descent. All right, through all that's been said and done, by past scholars, activists, revolutionists, you name it. Black people suffer the most in learning from past mistakes and uniting both physically and economically to get themselves out of being the worst off as a people on this planet. It really disgusts me. It angers me. It's one of the most frustration things I got to deal with being black. It's watching the masses and people not wanting to unite. It's the most disturbing thing about being black, the lack of unity. I got to be honest with you guys. Okay. Here we are living in an AI revolutionary period, right? With information coming at you at a rate that leaves you with no excuses to not know better. And yet we still choose to be in the worst conditions, mostly to what we do to ourselves. I got to be honest with you, black people. Black people, I want you to know Africa holds the most resources in the world. I repeat that again. Black people, hear me out. Africa holds the most resources in the world, ladies and gentlemen. That's not an understatement. That's a hardcore fact. And black people, I also want you to know, okay, black Americans by country hold the most wealth, okay, in the world. Just by country. The black Americans here, as far as being black, if we're talking about black people per country, black Americans hold the most wealth. All right? Well, do y'all not know that Nigeria's GDP alone is only estimated to be around 500 billion? While black Americans' spending power a year in this country is estimated to be about 2 trillion. Let me repeat that again. Nigeria's GDP per year is around $500 billion. That's just one example I'm giving you guys. The black people here in America, our spending power is $2 trillion a year. Just our spending power alone. Okay. Now, it's very simple to understand, okay, the lack of unity amongst our people and resources is really what's destructive. Okay, my last episode, I went into the AES alliance that's made up of 3 countries, ladies and gentlemen: Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, and a couple more countries that are basically beginning to follow suit and gaining full control of their resources, making better efforts, and ending this white supremacy, ruled and dominated by France, the US, and others. But it shocks me to see the lack of support the rest of the African continent, including black nations around the world, are giving such a great movement. As if nobody, as if black people are just, what the hell else is to be proud of? I mean, these are the type of movements. If you're truly paying attention to what's going on in the world and you're black and you have any kind of pride for yourself, these are the type of things you support. These are the type of things you talk about. These are things you brag about. I really can't find anything else more important to talk about as just a black human being living on this planet. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, ladies and gentlemen, I'm under the consumption that it's going to take far more drastic measures to get black people to set aside their differences and unite for the betterment of our people. It's clear as day we're complacent with being last from an economic standpoint around the world. I mean, it's just pretty much clear. But I'll tell you one thing, not me. Y'all got me messed up, and that's for sure. As I said, I would rather gather myself with like-minded individuals who get it than to be in this world going along just to get along, like a bunch of fools. History has shown a point where black people were in way better conditions. So much history, just do your due diligence, than we are now. History has shown a point black people were in way better conditions, and it started way before slavery. By God is my witness. And I'll stay patient and align myself with those who know the history of themselves and are ready to make significant steps into bringing that back to reality. I will remain patient. and stay the hell away from you others, without a doubt. It's easy to me. I love spending time to myself and like-minded people. I'm really not one for crowds. I can care less. To be seen, things of that nature, I could give a damn. All right, whether you're Haitian, Haitian American, foundational Black American, African, it doesn't matter, God knows I'm not expecting everyone to smarten up all at once to get their priorities straight. I'm really not. But if you're Black and blessed enough to be living in America, it's best you start aligning yourself with people who want better for themselves. People who have a positive outlook on unity, fairness, and basically despise materialism. Because I'll tell you right now, the type of things that Black people spend their money on in general, just alone in this country, it's disgusting. If we're talking about hair products, I mean, you name it. It's pretty bad, ladies and gentlemen, all right? And at some point, to be a decent human being, you must know when enough is enough. Let's be honest. You must know when enough is enough. At some point, when you become rich and wealthy, and this is for all my rich and wealthy folks living, in the world, especially my rich and wealthy Black people. At some point, when you become rich and wealthy, your focus should be on the betterment of others. Just, for example, if my home and vehicles are paid for and I'm receiving residual income, what excuses may one have in not dedicating him or herself in the betterment of others? And I'll say it again. If my home and vehicles are paid for and I'm receiving residual income, okay, what excuses can I really have in not wanting to see and be involved in the betterment of others? Like, what do I have? What can I really say? There really, to me, is no excuse, but I guarantee you will see fools and others in the comment section or what have you, making excuses to why, when you're rich and filthy and you're good for the rest of your life, you should not be involved and worried about other people. I know there's always going to be some evil out there. People that just don't get it. All right? And I'm not even saying you should be doing it full time, but what excuse can you truly have outside of being selfish and careless? Can you have and not want to help those in need, ladies and gentlemen? I just don't get it, especially when you're good. From the banking systems, the wealthiest families, corporations, and this is just me speaking in general, in all major entities in this world, there should be no one living in famished conditions. Just with those people alone. The banking systems, the wealthiest families, corporations, and all major entities. There should be no one living in famished conditions in this world, ladies and gentlemen. There's enough to go around for everybody, as God is my witness. As God is my witness. All right. And to me, I truly believe there is no devil in the afterlife. The devil is clearly here on earth. Just open your goddamn eye and do some research to see exactly what's taking place right in front of you. There is no hell. You want to see hell, just look around. It's here, right here, on earth. It really is. I don't believe in a hell in an afterlife. It's too much hell on earth for me to even believe there's one in the afterlife. I think you do reap what you sow. And if you're one for, I don't know, maybe either astronomy or astrology, I can't remember, to study your space and whatnot. I mean, if you do just, if you think about that, I think you do have a galaxy or some type of place you go lightly as a way. You do reap what you sow. You will live, the way you lived on earth. I do believe this is like a baby planet. You understand what I'm saying? But hell is definitely here on earth, ladies and gentlemen. All right. For the ones who get it, kudos to you. And the ones who don't, you just remain stagnant in life. Because, right now, definitely the rich is getting richer and the poor is definitely becoming poor. As the late, great Frederick Douglass once said, it's easier to build strong children than it is to repair broken men. And I'll repeat that again. It is easier to build strong children than it is to repair broken men. I'm not in this podcasting world to convince a soul on any topic. You know what I'm saying? It's truly either you get it or you don't. And for those that are like-minded, God bless you. I rock with y'all, man. Now, moving on. Recently, there's been a list of events taking place that require the world's attention, but yet no one is really saying the word about it. And it's quite disturbing to me. I don't get it. But for the ones who like to use their own intelligence and think and are not distracted by entertainment, let's just go over some of these things that are happening in the world, if y'all don't mind, okay? it's leaving me basically to believe, furthermore, there's an agenda being pushed by this wealthy 1% that we deal with in this world. All right. The first thing I wish to discuss is, why is it illegal by law in Kenya and other African nations to share organic seeds with one neighbor? Y'all don't find that quite disturbing? Y'all don't? I'll say it again. Why is it illegal by law in Kenya and other African nations to share organic seeds with one's neighbor? There's actually a law by the international organizations to give them rights for patenting their seeds, okay? Patented seeds, ladies and gentlemen. There's a law by the international organizations that gives them the right for patenting their seeds. And this protects their seeds, and those are the seeds people must use by law. Today, GMO seeds are basically part of the New World Order. They are lab created, and if you plant GMO seeds, you cannot replant the seeds once you harvest. I'll say it again. If you plant GMO seeds, you cannot replant the seeds once you harvest, meaning you must go back to that guy who planted the seeds and buy it from him. Now, if y'all recall recently, Bill Gates was in Ethiopia, praising Ethiopia for, their wheat farming progress, his renewed call for the, GMO adoption. And this is the same Bill Gates that's, so happens to, to own the biggest, he's the biggest private owner of farmland here in the United States, all right? With holdings totaling approximately 242,000 acres, across 19 states. And this is also the same Bill Gates whose wife who divorced him, the one who divorced him, all right, seems to, have some suspicion, a lot of suspicion when, asked by Gayle King, why was Bill Gates on Epstein Island? The same Bill Gates. The same Bill Gates that ran the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, involved in vaccination programs in Africa, with no telling what type of side effects that could have been involved with, that foundation and what they were doing with those poor, people in Africa. Must also remind you guys that Bill Gates was one of the front runners in mandating the COVID-19 vaccination. He was one of the front runners, all right? Where CEOs of biotech companies were by law not allowed to take the vaccine, and it was more important for coworkers and partners to get vaccinated. I'll say it again. I want y'all to process that information. Pure fact. Where CEOs of biotech companies were by law not allowed to take the vaccine, and it was more important for coworkers and partners to get vaccinated. They weren't even allowed to participate in trials, ladies and gentlemen. Do y'all not hear me? The CEOs by law were not allowed to participate in trials. And y'all still don't get it, do y'all? I can't recall a time, I really can't recall a time in history where so many recalls have been on both produce and meat. I can't recall a time where it's happened in my lifetime to this degree. And you don't even have to take my word for it. Just go visit the Food and Drug Administration website and go see for yourself. It was highly unheard of in my days to hear about E. coli, Listeria, Salmonella, to reach these all-time highs. And in my opinion, it's our corrupt government and corporate greed causing all these problems us regular folk have to deal with. You get piss poor results when screwing with Mother Nature, or what some would call God's plan. You really do. Ladies and gentlemen, this could actually be the year of the people, in my personal opinion, okay? If most of us grow a pair and get our head out our asses and finally apply pressure to the 1% of people in charge of this world, we can actually get some fine results. This great white hype named Trump, he's talked the best game I've ever heard from a president throughout my entire adult life. He really has. But it's really up to you, the people, to apply pressure to him and his administration to finally do right by the American citizens and just, people around the world in general. He established the Department of Government Efficiency, all right, which isn't even a federal executive department, but it's planned to restructure the federal government and remove regulations in order to reduce government spending and increase government efficiency. But let me just say that again. It's not a federal executive department, but that's what the plans are. Okay. He's also hired, Mr. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as Secretary of Department of Health and Human Services and stated, quote, Mr. Trump himself, this is what he said. For too long, Americans have been crushed by the industrial food complex and drug companies who have engaged in deception, misinformation, and disinformation when it comes to public health. Trump said in a statement on Truth Social, the safety and health of all Americans is most important role in helping ensure everybody will be protected from harmful chemicals, pollutants, pesticides, pharmaceutical products, and food additives that have contributed to the overwhelming health crisis in this country. Mr. Kennedy will restore these agencies to the traditions of the gold standard scientific research and beacons of transparency to end the chronic disease epidemic and to make America great and healthy again. Ladies and gentlemen, but like I said before, my beef isn't with this current administration at all. It really isn't. They're all the same to me. They never really were different, right? It's with us whose tax dollars fund these public servants. And every year, instead of applying pressure to make sure this small group of people do what they're supposed to, y'all would rather, be at these rallies kissing ass, letting presidents kiss on all your babies, at the rallies, praising them as if they're gods. And to me, it's just sad. It really is. The country with the right to bear arms, y'all, act like a bunch of biatches when it comes to making sure their public servants do what they're elected and paid to do, Y'all, the ones right to bear arms, the ones with more balls and brass than everybody else in the world. You carry your guns. We're so gun heavy here, but we act like straight biatches when it comes to making our public servants do what our tax dollars is paying them to do and what they said and promised they would do. I tell you, my beef is with y'all this year and the rest of the years to come. I can care less who's in office. I can care less. I really can. I don't care whether you're Republican or Democrat. My beef would always be with the people and how idiotic we can be. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm on y'all asses this next 4 years. I swear to God. I don't give a damn who you voted for. If you ride in D, instead of applying pressure, don't worry. I'll be one of the first ones exposing how idiotic and stupid you really are. This is the year the foolishness has come to an end. I don't know about you and what you're willing to put up with in your life, but I know damn well what I'm willing and unwilling to accept in mine. For those who get it, God bless you. And the ones who don't, good luck. In all reality, good luck, man. I could give a damn about you. I know exactly what happens to your type of people. It always shows. History always shows. Sheeple people, I really don't want to say the words. They might ban me, but you know what happened to sheep. You know where they get led. Okay. Good luck to y'all, man. And I don't want to, waste my time too much. I wanted to make this one short and to the point. Happy New Year's. We're going to bring this New Year's in right. And thanks for listening to another episode on Use Your Own Intelligence podcast. And ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't already, for all my Haitians out there, if you have yet not done it, go to my website at useyourown.intelligence.org. For all my Haitian Americans, who are part of the diaspora, who truly claim they love their country, it's time for us to unite by the millions, okay? And I'll set up a website for everybody to just register. Just subscribe. That's all you have to do. I don't want you to send $1. As God is my witness, do not send $1. Just subscribe. I want to see if we really love our country and we can gather up together by the millions as we did in the revolution in 1804. I want to see how bad and how much we truly care. I would love to see it. So, if you haven't already, go to useyourown.intelligence.org, all my Haitians out there, and subscribe to the website and let's get some numbers. Let's start discussing, what we can do with our infrastructure, building hospitals, schools, who we can put in charge of these sectors, things of that nature. The discussions need to be happening now. We need to start making these efforts. And like I said, useyourown.intelligence.org. And ladies and gentlemen, thanks for coming out. Thanks for listening, and have a great day.
Man, this shit is getting crazy. Never seems to amaze me. I think the devil's trying to play me. Oh, Lord. But I'm a different type of nigga. Worth about 5 or 6 figures. Once that profit get bigger, you know. I gotta triple up on this cheese. Take a flight right over them seas. Maybe make a trip to Haiti, who knows? I just know that I have to go get it. And America's looking so hectic. Make you wanna grab the tech by the second, yes Lord. How the fuck it come to that? Most these niggas out here rats. And that statement can't be tracked, yeah I know. But these crackers is doing the sentencing. In the jail, you niggas repenting then. On the block, you be killing your men again, I know. This system been a trap. This shit must collapse. We ain't about far ways from that, yeah, they know. We gon' get through regardless. All that small talk so harmless. I'll pop what's under this garment, whoa. It ain't gotta come to that. Niggas been for peace till I proceed and really state the facts. These fuckers can't stand the fact we black. Jay Blake caught 7 to the back. And then I caught Aubrey with some armory, tryna run the 4 flat. I'm tryna keep my sanity intact, but the shit is getting deeper. Every time I watch the news, there's some white dudes playing like the Grim Reaper. Nigga, I ain't never been a sleeper. Rest in peace, Breonna Taylor. But I swear to God, you touch my doorknob, your niggas gonna meet your maker. This country getting faker. They gon' tryna outdate ya. For the immortalized, they gon' prophesize. You ain't gotta speak the nature. Just when you caramelize, it's when they see demise, it must be second nature. You can do us all a favor. Go ahead and catch the vapors. Act civilized and match your eye for eye, cause there won't be no one to save ya. And I'm a lovable type of neighbor. Might run you a couple of favors. But when you cross the line is when I see divide. I ain't forgiving you like your savior. Is you loving this type of behavior? I'm just a man, I ain't trying to persuade you. Hey.